Hey everybody, this is Dave coming to you from the Gaming Cave. Today we're going to do some setup and start our playthrough of Coral Sea Solitaire Deluxe Edition from Decision Games. Alright, so a couple things here for you. Just kind of give you a little lay of the land. I've done some of the setup so you don't have to sit there and watch me do, but there's one that I am going to perform here, which is the submarine setup. I'll show you that. Let's see. The first thing you do is set up, well, the first thing I did way over here is I separated all my counters so that I've got them out and I can get to them pretty handy. Got my dice tower, got my player aids. There's one six-sided die that comes with the game, which quite honestly is a little unusual because I'm used to having 10-sided die and multiple six-sided die. For this game to only play with one six-sided is, to me, rare these days, but that's okay. Simplicity sometimes is good. Okay, we have so in the rule book, there is a very simple initial deployment reinforcement schedules. So we do the U.S. Navy reinforcement. It tells us what ships go in each task force and who goes in Australia base, north or south, so you can pick which one you want. Okay, aircraft units, they all get designated to the carriers, Port Moresby, and then Australia. Now, here's the thing with the aircraft. I'll show you this. These green ones, this is Port Moresby. The green ones are the land-based. So this is a land-based fighter. That's LF. His air strength is 2. His range is 3. If I flip this over, it's a 1. So when it calls for 2 of these fighters, I can either use the one with the 2, and that's 2 of them, or I could get 2 of them that have a 1, and that makes 2. So if you're going to do different things with them, then you'll want to split them up like that. Here's the land-based heavy bomber. I have 2 of them, and they have a range of 10, and they are bombers. We also have light medium bombers. This one's a 1. Again, it has the bomb designation on it. And then, of course, we have our fighters also. Okay. All right. On our task forces, here's Task Force 44, which is I decided to use North Australia. You have an unidentified side and an identified side. So we all start unidentified. The Japanese also. All right, so I have all my aircraft. It's kind of nice because you don't have stacks of everything all over the board trying to maneuver them. You use your counters and you have these statuses over here. Right now, all aircraft start in recovery. So I have my land-based, I have my 2 land-based fighters at Port Moresby, and then I have everybody else in North Australia right here. And then for the Japanese up here, they have 2 land-based fighters at Lae, and then they have aircraft over here at Rabaul. And then these are their 3 carriers. They have 2 carriers, the Shukaku and the Zuikaku, and then the light carrier Shoho. So those are their 3 carriers that they start the game with. All right. Up here is my task force breakdown. So down here are my 4 task forces other than Task Force 44, which is in Australia. Task Force 6, which is a destroyer task force. Task Force 9, which has my float plane, launch and search planes in it. Task Force 11 and Task Force 17. Okay, and then up here, all the task forces have the ships that are in there. So I have them all set up and they're ready to go. And then we have CPs, which are your command points for the Americans. So we have operations, we have intel, we have logistics, and we have organization. So these all start at 0, and every turn you get 20 to spend of all 4 groups. So it's a combination. There's a max of 20 command points, and if you don't use them all, then you lose them and you start over again at 0. Okay. Up at the top, we have victory points for the U.S. and panic points. And then we have the task force for Japanese. They start at Santa Isabel. Task Force TG, which is the Tulagi group. And then Task Force SG, which is the support group. And as you can see, they're unidentified at this point. And let's see, just checking. Yep, Santa Isabel Island. Okay. Now for these guys, they have a couple of unknown ships. They have a couple of tenders and stuff like that, gunboats and float planes out there. Then you have the Port Moresby group, the Carrier Strike Force, and the Covering group. And all of those, the thing that you do is there's 3 carriers. There's 2 full carriers and there's 1 light carrier. You mix them up, and then you put 2 of them in the Carrier Strike Force and 1 of them in the Covering group. And I don't know which one they are. And then we assigned a certain number of ships that go into there. So what you do is it tells you, like Port Moresby, you have your transports. Tulagi, you have this transport. Support group gets this. And then your Carrier Strike Force, you start with these carriers, your Covering group, and then your other surface ships. So you have all these other surface ships, and we place in 5 dummy units. We placed them all face down. Well, I actually put them in a cup because you can feel the flat side versus the beveled side. And then I pull 6 units for this one, 5 units. So I have no idea what those units are in all of these. Shoot, one Carrier Strike Force could have all 5 dummies in it. You just don't know. That's the randomness. Okay, the last thing we have to do for setup is the submarines. So there are 3 submarines. And one other thing I'll show you. This is fine on the submarines. If the task force or the unit has an S, that means they're slow and they can only move 1 hex per movement phase. All the other ships move 2. You can the U.S. can spend operation points, command points, to gain 1 extra hex. So if I need to speed them up, I can. Okay, so we have these 3 submarines. I have no idea what they are, who they are. There's some differences in there. I think some are like a non-sighting or something like that. Okay, so there they are. So we have these 3. Now we roll for their deployment. Now, it took me a minute for this because they didn't label this on the board. But it says to roll a die, and it indicates the 2 truck hex that they start on. So 2 truck. So I'm looking for everywhere for truck on there, and there's not. But there's these 6 spots right here. This has to be the 2 truck space. Couldn't think of anything else that it could be. So we roll for each one. So we roll, and if they land on the same one, that's fine. So the first one is a 3. So 1, 2, 3. That's where he's going to start out. The next one is a 5. So 3, 4, 5. And the fourth one is another 5. Okay, so 2 of them are coming in there together. Now, what we do is we roll again, and we add 3 to this result. And that's the number of hexes to the south of their 2 truck hex where they will move to. If it happens to be on a spine, on a hex side, then we roll again to determine if it's on the east or the west. Okay, so we'll start with this first one. and we add 3. So 2 plus 3 is 5. So we go 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's on a spine. So we're going to roll. 1, 2, 3. It'll be to the, looking for my compass on here. I think this is north. So this will be west. And it gets a 6. So he'll be east. So he'll be in the Tulagi area right there. Okay. Now this next one, we add 3. Oh, we got 6 and 3 is 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And they're on a spine. Again, 1, 2, 3 is west. 3. He'll be here. Okay. This last guy, he cannot be in the same hex. And he got a 6 with 3, which is 9. So he has to be on this side. So I got 2 submarines and down here. And I don't know. This is a little disconcerting. I'm going to have to send my destroyer group over there, I think. See if I can shake those guys out of there, maybe. Okay. All right. So our submarines are set up. We're all ready. The aircrafts are there. We have a operative initiative. It can be either the U.S. Navy or the Japanese. We have our turn. It is on good weather, and then you have bad weather. But we start May 3rd, good weather, daytime. So there's 2 tracks here. The top one's for the day, the second one's for the night. Okay. And then we have our operations. That's really the setup. The Japanese got 2 leadership chits. They're here. So 2 leaders, it doesn't matter. You just grab 2, you put them on there. That's where their leaders are at. We will roll to see if they use them or not when there's an opportunity. A 1 to 4, they do not. A 5 to 6, they do. Okay. So we go to the sequence of play. We'll start working through this. So we have our command phase, and we have random events. Now this little symbol here means it only happens on the day turn. And we have some that have the moon, and that's a night turn only. Okay, so random events, we skip on turn 1. So no random events today. All right. U.S. Navy reinforcement phase. Sorry about the camera. We don't have that because we're not using that optional rule. The Japanese reinforcements arrive on turn 4, so we don't have to do that. U.S. command decision phase. So we reset these all to 0, and now we decide how we're going to use them. Okay, so there is a play read. Trying to get it out here. That shows us everything that's going to cost us. So logistics, if you have 1 to 6 in your task force, 1 to 6 ships in your task force, they use 1 CP to refuel. If you have more than 6, so 7 or more, then it takes 2. Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in task force 17. So everybody else is less than that. So everybody can use 1 to refuel. So I know that I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my logistics points just to get started with refueling. Because if you don't refuel, your task force becomes fatigued. Okay, so we know we want that. If I want them to move faster than their 2 or 1 hex, and that's, again, is determined by the S. So task force 9 with my seaplane tender, those guys, they can only move at 1. If I put them into a task force, like if I combine them with task force 6, that would slow task force 6 down to 1. So if I want him to move faster, then I have to spend a point to get him going. But I think I am going to try to get task force 6 going a little faster. Now that is a operations. I'm looking. Let's see, air transfer, add 1 to my movement allowance. So I'm definitely ops is going to spend 1 So my destroyer can move 3 instead of 2 spaces. I want to get him out there, see what these submarines are. See if I can get rid of them. Okay. I need, I'm not going to do any organization because organization involves combining task forces. And right now I'm not going to combine anybody. I'm going to leave them separate. Okay. And then command phase, I have an intelligence. Okay, so I can spend 2 CPs for intelligence. 1, 2. And I can pick any one hex. Designate one hex on the map and roll a die on the intelligence table. So I can roll for this one and I can see I might be able to take them from unidentified to identified. Then, that doesn't tell me what ships are in it, just tells me I know there's a task force there now and I can start dealing with that. Okay. Next up. Okay, so I need to be able to get all my planes ready. And those cost me 1 CP. Shift all aircraft of 1 carrier from the recovered to the ready box. So to do that, I'm going to need 2 more. Those are logistics. So now I'm up to 7. And then for my land base, it costs 2. So that's 4 more. So I'm at 11. So right now I'm at 11, 13, 14. I have 6 points left. Now I can launch different things. And I can scout, and I don't think scouting costs me anything. I'm looking in here to make sure. I don't have any damage yet, so I'm pretty good there. Designate 1 hex on the map and roll. Okay. Air transfer a stack of air units. I can transfer planes like from here, from North Australia to Port Moresby if I want. He's got 2 land-based fighters. I really think I'd like to do that. So that would cost me, if I bring my North Australia here to Port Moresby, I've got a pretty heavy base, and Lay's the only one I got to worry about. But they can only handle that 4. Does mean something. And let me see if I can find that's in back here in the back on their bases. And that does mean bases. Okay. Base strength is printed on the map. These strengths can never be reduced or increased. Okay. Minor base strengths are shown on the markers with the base's name and maybe increased during the course of the game. Air base capacity. Each base is considered to include an air base with a capacity equal to the base's strength, either printed on the map for major bases or shown on minor bases markers. So his is 4, Rabal is 25, Lay is a 3. So I can only have 4 aircraft. I already have 2 there. So whatever I decide to do here, I could transfer, but I can only have a maximum of 4. So for me to transfer those fighters up there, it cost me logistics. Shift all aircraft on a land base from to recovery. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Air transfer a stack of air units. Well, I can only do 1, but that'll cost me one more operation point. I'm up to 2 there. Okay. And launch naval air units. Okay. So I can have launch any or all air units from 1 carrier against 1 target hex. Launch any or all air units from 1 land base against 1 target hex. Okay, I'm not doing that this turn. Okay. So we're going to transfer 1 set of fighters up there to help him out. All right. Okay, so I actually only spent 11 and 4 is 15. There's 5 points I did not spend this time because I really don't need them this turn. Now these guys will be fatigued when they get moved, and I think in my logistics phase, aircraft recovery ready step is a night move, so I need to have remove, refuel with 7 damaged U.S. Navy ships, shift all aircraft on a land base from the recovery to ready box, remove 1 damage marker from a ship unit, remove a fatigue marker from a ship unit. Okay, all aircraft. All right. So I think I will put, I'm gonna put 1 more in my logistics just to see if that works out for me. I'm gonna find out. Okay. So we spent a lot of time. What I didn't think would be much setup, but this is the first turn. So we now have our CPs done. We do scouting phase. We can conduct scouting by each task force, or I believe land-based. And there is a table for that. And I'm looking for it. There's my intelligence table, air missions table, combat air patrol, train effects, ship movement, victory point, optional, initial deployment, initiative scouting table. Okay. Scouting done by Australia major bases, range in hexes is 4, die roll needed is a 6. Okay, but I really don't have anything. We'll scout that base and see what we get. I got a 4, which isn't enough. I needed 6. Okay, so I do not, I don't see them, and here's my table back. Japanese scouting, he could do the same thing. He could scout me. He gets a 5. He didn't. He was not successful either. Okay. Okay, operational initiative phase. Here we go. So we got to determine initiative. That is here. Okay. So there's an operational initiative. We have to roll because it's a +1 modifier if they expend a leadership chip. Okay, 1 to 4, they do not. Do not. Here we go. So 4. So they do not expend a leadership chip for initiative on this first day. All right. -1 if we expend 1. Nope. +1 if it hasn't reached its panic level. They have not. So it's +1 to the die roll. This is for initiative. And they get, 6 +1 is 7. And 7 is Japanese have the initiative. So we take our little marker, we flip it over for the Japanese initiative. Okay, means they're going to be moving first. Okay. We don't have any U.S. Navy. Oh, before I did that, I should have done my intelligence phase. Conduct any desired intelligence missions per the intelligence. I had 1. So let me do that now. Let's see, intelligence. There it is. So I should have done that because I was rolling on that. Used during the U.S. Navy phase against any task force. 1 to 3, no effect. Okay, so here we go. So we are rolling for this task force TG. We'll start with him. Delagi group. We get, we got a 6. All right. So a 6 is U.S. Navy gains a leadership chit. Well, there we go, right off the bat. So I take a leader and I put him over here. All right, so I've got one now. All right, I did not discover anybody, but I did that. And for that intelligence, that was 2. That was right there. So I moved that down to 0. 1, 2. I spent my 2 points. Okay. Now. Oh, I also had my U.S. Navy air transfer phase. So I spent my operations, transfer air units from a base or carrier. So that's 1. That is my operation number there. We're going to send this fighter group right here. That's 3. Oh, can't send 3 because he can only have 4 there. So I'll send this 2, and that makes him a 4. And that one gets a fatigue marker on him. So we have fatigue onto that guy. Okay. So we did that. That was a operations. Yep. Trying to make sure I didn't do something out of order there. Air transferred that. I didn't have, let's see, air attack phase. I wasn't doing any. Add 1 to, oh no, I already moved that down. Okay, because I still have 1. All right. Now that took care of my air transfer phase, Navy Task Force Organization. I didn't do air U.S. intelligence phase, scouting phase we did, operational initiative we did. Okay, task force movement. Determined direction, so the Japanese are going to move. So we get our next card here. This is the Imperial Japanese Movement Doctrine Table. So used for this, and we do it in this order. If they're on the board, Carrier Strike Force is not. Port Moresby, nope. Covering Group, nope. Tulagi, yes. 4 and 5. +1 if within 3 hexes of Tulagi. So I'm looking for Tulagi. This is New Caledonia. Down here, Santa Isabel, Bougainville, Guadalcanal, South Australia, the New Hebrides. Well, okay. I don't see Tulagi. All right, well, we're going to move and see what they do. Okay, Tulagi group, sea rule after an amphibious operation. We're not there yet. Okay, so we roll on this. He has +1, expend if IGN leadership chit. Okay, so we're going to roll. 1 to 4, does not use it. 3 does not. Okay, so he does not use it. +1 if within 3 hexes of an unidentified Navy task force. Nope. +2 if within 3 hexes of an identified. Nope. We're not within Port Moresby or Tulagi right now. Okay, so we're just going to roll. And he's going to do a 5. Okay, so a 5. This is Tulagi group. He goes to Tulagi. Okay. Wow, this is embarrassing, but I don't know where is Tulagi. He's at Santa Isabel, Guadalcanal. Maleta, St. Christopher, Renal, New Hebrides, Bougainville, New Ireland. So he's supposed to move towards Tulagi. Move toward, if in Tulagi, no move. Okay. Now I'm looking for Tulagi on this map. There it is, right there. It's that little island right there. My submarine was kind of covering. So he moves to Tulagi. Okay. So he's there. Now I have Task Force Support Group. Okay. We roll to see if they're going to use a leadership chip. He gets a 4. He does not. Okay. Now we're going to roll to see where he goes. He gets a 3. Support group on a 3 moves southeast. And there's north, my compass. So he moves 1 hex southeast. So he stayed with, he stayed right there with the Tulagi group, and I'll put my submarine on top because I don't know what he's doing yet. Now the submarines, they move. Okay. We'll start with this one back here. He gets a 1. And a 1 says engage plus. Task force makes a fast move. No, engage. Move toward the nearest U.S. Navy task force. Okay. So they're this direction. So he's moving this direction right here. All right. Now we'll do this one. He gets a 6. And a 6 for my submarine. On station. So I think on station means he is going to no move. Okay, now the one on the west is a 1. And a 1 is engage. And it is, actually that was engage plus. So engage, move towards it, and the plus is a fast move. So he should have moved 2. This guy's going to do that same thing, 2. Okay, so submarines are spreading out. Okay, that's all the Japanese movement. Now we do U.S. Navy movement. Okay. So I was going to spend one of my logistics points and move my destroyers. Are going to move 3 out here. 1, 2, 3. These guys, Task Force 17 is going to move 1, 2, 1, 2 with Task Force 11. And Task Force 9 is my seaplane tenders. They're moving 1. Okay. And then Task Force 44, he's coming out at 1. Actually, he's coming out this direction. Let's see if I can get him away from those guys maybe. Okay. Now we do, that's our movement. We do U.S. Air Mission Assignment. U.S. Navy ready. Okay, so we don't move anybody yet. Nobody's got any aircraft that's ready yet, so we don't do anything there. Air superiority phase, nope. Operational initiative sides, nope. Okay, surface naval combat, nope. Bombardment, nope. No landing phase. Oh, if an amphibious task force has been in its target hex this entire game turn, including that landing and recording. Okay, so they have not yet. They just got there. Okay. Air basing phase. Land all U.S. Navy and IGN that are flying. Logistics. Refit ships. Refueling. So here's where I refuel. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That drops me down to 6. Okay. Japanese do not have any fatigue or damaged ships. IGN aircraft, roll a die for each air unit in a recovery box. Move it to the ready box on a 1 through 5. 1 through 4 if land-based. It remains in the recovery box on a 6 or 5 or 6. Okay, here we go. So we're doing the carriers up here on CV1. We're going to roll. So 1 through 5, he'll go over. 2, he goes. Next one, 5, he goes on the carrier. Next one, 4. So they all moved over on the Shokaku. Now we got the Zuikaku. He's got a 4. They're ready. Next, 6. His torpedo bombers are not ready. Or dive bombers, I mean. And a 4, these guys made it over. Okay, his fighters. All right, now for the light carrier. 1, they're ready. And his dive bombers, 3, they're ready. Now the land-based on a 1 to 4. Start his bombers. 4, he's ready. His next bombers, 5, no. And now the fighters. This is at Rabaul. 5, no. So they're not ready. Okay, and then my lay, they got A3, they moved over. Okay. So that was his group. All right. That was the logistics phase, air basing, IGN bombardment. Oh, refueling, really I hadn't done that yet because that becomes the night phase. So we would have been into the night phase, and now we do our U.S. Navy, spend our CPs. So I spent all of mine to move these guys. So they're going to be 2, shift all aircraft, yep, from my land base, but the 1 is fatigued, so he doesn't go. The rest of these guys go. So that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then my 2 carriers, they move everybody. That's 2. 1, 2, I used all of them up. I did not spend 1 for the fatigue. I thought I did, but I guess I didn't. His ops, everything's done. Okay. And that is end of turn phase. Victory check, no. Panic check, no. Weather step. If the current weather is bad, flip the turn marker to the good side. It's still good. Turn advancement step. Move the turn record marker. So we come up here. It's going to be on turn day 4, May 4th. Okay. And that's the end of May 3rd. So we played May 3rd. Kind of dull still, although this is going to get dicey down here. So I got to read up on my submarine stuff for the next video. Make sure what we're doing here. Got my destroyers coming out looking for those guys. Hopefully I can nail them and get rid of them. Or maybe they're not even real. Who knows? Okay. But I want to get them out of the way as I'm moving my task force up. And his task force has now landed. Tulagi group is there at Tulagi. Okay. All right. So I think that's going to be it for today. Not much happened yet. A lot of setup stuff. A lot of first moves. You can see how important it is to get your command points ready. So I'm going to have to spend 1 to get the fatigue off of him and then get him over to the recovery box. for the next turn. I do have fighters now that are ready. They can come up. I got bombers that are ready coming out of North Australia. They're only 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes away, so I could attack Lay. See if I can knock his fighters out if I want to. I got task forces starting to move now. We can start coming out. And then, of course, I got my other major task force down here that were coming up looking for whatever. And the Japanese are going to have reinforcements on May 4th, so we'll see how that works. All right, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And as always, leave your comments and please like my video. Give it a thumbs up. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one, everybody.